Right, hello and welcome to Scottish Football Matters. Back again to review the weekend results, and we're going to take more of a sort of talking points, kind of look at it just from the weekend's games. And yep, we're going to just take you through our thoughts. And just remember, if you're liking what you hear, like and subscribe, and it always helps the channel. Then we'll see where we can obviously take it. And of course, any comments, things that you think would improve content wise, we're always more than happy. The channel's definitely in its infancy, and we're looking to progress. And we want to hear, if we've got viewers, we want to hear what you think and what you want to hear about Scottish football. So, shall we start with just a quick roundup of the weekend's games?
Yep. Which one you want to start with?
We'll just start as in the order of the matches. Livingston against Falkirk, 3-1 to
hmm
Livingston.
Yep.
From my point of view, I thought great result again for Livingston. 4 points out of 6. They're going to get tougher tests, as we said. Kilmarnock and away to Kilmarnock and home to Falkirk. They're going to have tougher tests. I think their next game's actually Celtic
Yep.
after the cup games. So, but they're going to at least go to Celtic, and I think they're going to have a go because they've got the points that maybe they didn't expect, so they
hmm
can maybe open up and give Celtic a go. So, and as I said last week, I felt that Falkirk are going to get their points at home this year. They're going to be a very strong home team and maybe not so strong. And I think we've seen a bit more evidence of that in that game. But I can't really say much more than just deserved win for Livingston. I thought they were good.
Yeah, they were. I mean, I was expecting more for Falkirk, but obviously Livingston were too strong for them in the end. Um,
Definitely
and
looked like a good football team. Like
the two,
definitely a lot different from the Livingston that went down.
aye, I think Livingston will probably be all right this season. I don't think they'll
I
get
think
relegated.
I think sometimes teams need that season in the Championship just to reevaluate what got you into trouble. Because Livingston were a good top six team, and
hmm
then they had a couple of years where they were floating with relegation, and then it eventually happened. Same with Ross County, obviously. And I
Yep.
feel like maybe a season where you're playing lesser teams can give you a wee bit of confidence. You can certainly come up because we're seeing teams when they come up, they're staying up in
Aye.
recent years. I mean, Dundee United, Dundee. And I wouldn't be surprised if Livingston and Falkirk stayed up. I wouldn't also be surprised to see them maybe flapping around the playoff,
hmm
but I think they're good additions to the league. I really do.
Yep.
Uh,
Aye.
Excluding their pitches, shall we say?
Well, I have to say, I thought the Livingston pitch they've got the new looks a lot better than the other one they had.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it looks like a bowling green compared to
hmm
that
Oh,
thing.
definitely. That looked like an old one office carpet. The
Uh,
old one.
what did you think of St Mirren Motherwell? And I know it's a nil-nil, but from the highlights that I've seen, it wasn't a boring nil-nil. It was just a nil-nil of a team that I feel St Mirren just lack a real cutting edge up
hmm
front.
It was all
And
right. I mean, it was okay,
they,
but the best thing about the game was having Archie McPherson commentator.
uh, uh, but I thought Motherwell did a lot of the same things they did against Rangers. Just nice on the ball, but I do worry that them, like St Mirren, really lack a cutting edge.
hmm
Um, I feel both of them. I think we've got 3 weeks till the end of the transfer window. I feel both of them could definitely be, especially Motherwell with the Lennon Miller going to
hmm
looks like he's going to Udinese.
Yep, it does. I've
Um,
seen that.
we
Yep.
could definitely be doing with a striker, like a more focal point.
I
Because you
think they
see,
will. They'll bring in players in, especially if they're
we
going to get
will
decent money for Lennon Miller.
we'll talk about it in some of the other games, but I think there's a big difference between the likes of Hibs and Hearts and the way they're playing football compared to maybe Motherwell and St Mirren this year.
Mhm.
They just look like they're lacking something at that top end.
Yeah.
They organised wise, they look okay. I mean, you've seen that from St Mirren against Celtic. They looked fairly comfortable at times,
hmm
but they didn't look like they could do it in the other end. And I thought that maybe a wee home game against Motherwell they would do more, but I don't really think they did do a lot more. They did a bit
No.
more, but I'd be concerned if I was a St Mirren fan that maybe they need to get a bit more in that final third.
hmm Oh, definitely, because obviously nothing each there, and they've they did create chances, but they've just not got it when it comes into they didn't have it in the final third. Um,
Yep. Next game, Rangers, one each with Dundee. We'll obviously go a bit more in depth in that and one of the
yep.
talking points. But again, I think it was probably a fair result, only on the basis that Dundee deservedly took the lead. Obviously, the red card, definite red card, can't argue with that. It's the last man. Giga's a bit unfortunate. I don't think he means to make contact, but you can't argue that when there's contact and you're goal side of the defender and you're running through on goal, it's going to be a red card.
And as you said off camera, that obviously once you get goal sided like the defender, it's a red card. So
and I think Rangers only started to play when they were in adversity. When they were 1-0 down, a man down, they started to play football. But to me, that's too little, too late. And they did get what you would have to say is a deserved equaliser on the balance of play, if not on quality of play. But Rangers, even with 10 men, were pushing and pushing and pushing, and finally showed a wee bit of quality with Gassama getting in behind and winning the penalty, which again, goal side of the defender. I can't argue that he initiates the contact, but I think when you are goal side at pace and you go down and there's contact, you're probably going to get a penalty 9 times out of 10. And as long as we see that consistently over the season, I'm very happy for that to be a penalty. But what I don't want to see is Dundee United against Hibs in a few weeks, whatever. The same thing's happening and they're not giving them. That's where
there's no penalty.
Controversy, but I can't argue that when a player is goal side. But Rangers didn't deserve any more at the game, and
then obviously the second goal, he was offside. I mean, there's no question.
I think it was lazy though. If I'm honest, it's lazy. He's not watching. Danilo's ball through is brilliant, but you've got to be on the shoulder. You can't be strolling a yard or two behind the. I mean, they had a good line in the last minute, but come on, you need to be a bit cleverer than that. But on to Sunday's game, Aberdeen 0, Celtic 2. I thought Nygren took his goal quite well, and Hattai's
good goal.
Very good goal. Hattai's finish was excellent.
Hattai, I have to say, I mean, I know there's a lot of goals scored this weekend, and the boy, we'll come to the game obviously, but the boy playing for Kilmarnock, what a goal that was.
Brannan's my goal of the weekend.
Brannan, that's a cracker.
Was probably runner up for me, but
Hattai's was a cracker as well. I have to say, I liked Hattai's. It was a cracker.
It always looks great when it's barring in, doesn't it? It does.
Brilliant after barring in. It looks a lot better.
I always remember the old Tony Yeboah goals from the 90s. Always good barring in. But I thought Aberdeen were a wee bit. I think they were. I don't want to say this because it sounds bad, but I thought they were too open at times. Whereas I think sometimes you need to stay in the game against Celtic, because once you lose that goal, you're chasing it, and Celtic are a good team to pick you off at that. And I don't think Celtic have played particularly well in their 2 games, but 6 points is 6 points. And
the referee, had a stinker as well. The referee had a stinker in that game.
For both sides. I think there was a foul, Nygren on Devon, where Devon just collapsed and they're giving free kicks. And I think there was one hint that Keskinen challenges Johnson.
Alistair Johnson.
And there's just nothing in it. He's
down too easily. And obviously the linesman's get his flag up.
I just think that it really loses the flow of the game when they're just constantly blowing for fouls. And I thought.
And then he booked McGregor and Hattati together at the same point in the game, and I was like, "What's he booking the 2 of them for?" Must have been a previous foul by McGregor, but I was like, "I think booked the 2 of them."
I think it really made it a poorer show because it was just there was no flow at the game because the referee just kept blowing for fouls that were just meh. I don't think there was really nasty fouls in the game. I thought, but it just so stops that. But on to probably the game of the weekend. Dundee United 2, Hearts 3. I thought Dundee United were massively unlucky, but at the same time, both Dundee United goals were goalkeeping errors.
And again, one of the goals for Dundee United was an absolute cracker. Dolchek, is that his name?
Well, the free kick.
The free kick was a cracker.
I think the keeper's position is terrible on that.
It's still a good free kick though.
It is a good free kick.
Regardless of whether the goalkeeper gets it, it's still a good free kick.
Yeah, I mean, I think the keeper's at fault for both the goals, and I thought Dundee United would be really disappointed that when they're 2-1 up to lose 2 set pieces, because it wasn't like Hearts really broke them down in open play. I mean, it was a penalty and 2 corner kicks, and I'm not saying. I mean, it's always a great way to be scoring goals if you're scoring goals for set pieces, and let's be honest, Derek McInnes' teams normally do.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Well, that's what he said in his interview. I don't know if you heard in his interview. He says we want to be the best team in the league at at set pieces, basically, at getting goals for set pieces or whatever.
Yeah.
He did say that.
And but fair play to them. And again, 6 points out of six,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of how well or whatever they've played, they're winning games. And it's not easy games either. Aberdeen and Dundee United are not
No,
the
I'd
weakest
say
teams
that's two of
now.
the tougher games that you would get in the league.
Yeah, so fair play to them. And then Hibs Kelly. I don't want to say a game of two halves because I know Kelly scored
Hibs
one
threw it away.
before half time,
I'd say
but
Hibs threw it away because they were in command and I think they threw it away.
they were. But I think that goal before half time to make it 2-1 was big.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Hibs go in 2-0, I think you're talking they probably hold on. But I think you need to remember, and I'm going to say this for Dundee United too. I'm not going to give this excuse to Rangers, but I'm going to give this excuse to Dundee United and Hibs because we're playing the Thursday. And I think that a lot, maybe them losing that late goal against Hearts and maybe Hibs not holding on to a 2-goal lead was maybe a bit of legginess because we're not used to playing this Thursday, Sunday thing.
I said that last week to you on the pod about
And
the
Rangers, I
being
don't give
leggy.
the same excuse because it was a Tuesday night and it was at home. I kind of gave Rangers the benefit of the doubt the first week because I was like, they came back for Greece, it was roasting. That one you could almost understand a lethargic performance, but I don't give Rangers any excuses for that. But
No.
shall we come on to our first talking point?
Yeah.
Celtic, is the title over? Paddy Power have paid out already, but let's be honest, no one really cares about bookies paying out because they do this. They do this for media attention.
I know.
Let's be honest. But
what I will say, Murray, is what I will say is that we use obviously your team obviously cancelling their game against St Mirren. We've got a chance to stretch our lead that weekend, and then we could begin into the game against you 7 points in front. If we win that, then we go 10 points in front. So that's a massive gap right at the end of the month.
As I said last week, I don't think we should be cancelling. And also, Giga is now going to be suspended for the Celtic game rather than the St Mirren game because we're cancelling a game.
That's right, because he would have missed the St Mirren game. And he'd have been ready for the Celtic
Let's
game.
Let's be honest, he's the sort of, regardless of the red card, I don't think you can really criticise his defending. It was a poor shooter pass that led to that chance. It wasn't him. He was just the unfortunate man that legs collided with a forward. You wouldn't say it was, he's poor getting a red card. It wasn't that sort of red card. So I think he'll be a massive miss. But I noticed, and it's off topic, I suppose, but I think Rangers are trying to bring in a centre back, Nobel Mendy.
I've seen that. Real Betis.
Maybe you could just move Suter to right centre back and play Mendy, but even he needs to get up to speed. But on to Celtic though, I don't think the title's over. I think that's just media.
Oh no, it's no yet. But as I did say, by the end of the month, it could be a massive gap. But we'll see.
Well, between Rangers, but it might not be a massive gap to Hearts.
Well, I know, and I suppose I'm doing the Hearts a disservice by discounting them, but we'll come on to them. We will come on to them.
I think it's madness to suggest it's over.
No,
but I don't think you can
games.
give Celtic a 7 or a 10-point lead and just expect them to throw it away. Now I'm sure Celtic will drop points. That goes without saying, but and especially once they start getting into Europe. So obviously, I think that starts for them next week.
We'll need players as well, because if we don't sign players, if you start getting injuries, you've not got the players to come in to replace the players that are injured.
Yeah, I think Celtic's bench looks quite weak, if I'm really honest, compared to maybe last season and injuries and players leaving. And I think maybe not in the middle of the park, because you bringing on guys like Engel and McCowan and Bernardo, that looks strong, but definitely in the final third it looks weak. Because when you're looking at the bench and you're going, your best options are Yang and Kenny.
We never even brought Yang on.
When you look at those players, you're just thinking, you wouldn't want to be chasing a game. And that's what you need to turn to. So Celtic definitely need to get some additions in that final third, there's no doubt.
But as I said, if Celtic get a healthy lead, can you see them dropping? I know they will probably drop points, but not too many.
Of course it would, yeah. But I think it would take a team like Rangers or Hearts or Hibs to go on a really good run, like Hibs did at the end of last season, or Aberdeen did at the start of last season, or Rangers did maybe about 3 years ago.
Well, as I said, we'll come on to that with Hearts as well.
It's certainly possible for a team to go on a good run.
Of course.
And especially, I would say, with Rangers, just in the terms of if these players if it does click, you know what it's like with momentum in Glasgow. I know you're saying, it could be 10 points, but if if you win that Old Firm match and then you go into the international break, you can come back with that wee spark, and you can see how you can roll off
That's
4
right.
or 5 victories in a row because you take that momentum from that. But I'd say that's
Even
one of Rangers' biggest problems is they don't take momentum for big wins.
even if we lose, that's the thing.
They
You
slow up
don't
and
know.
down.
Even if we draw the game at Ibrox, I still think that was a good result, and obviously we'd still be top of the league, or we'd drop the Hearts if Hearts are still winning their games, of course.
Yep.
But
Well, speaking of Hearts, can they challenge?
do you know what I'm going to say? Like, they'll probably end up doing an Aberdeen. They'll challenge for a wee while, and it'll because if they pick up injuries, unless they've got a huge squad that can, you know what I mean. Well, they're not in Europe, so
I think that's
that
the
might
big.
help
Yeah,
them.
that's the key factor is knowing that they've got a week to prepare for every
That's
game.
right. That's right. They're not
Is
in
a
Europe, so
big
that might
thing.
help them in their favour.
I expect that come that tough December,
December.
January kind of spell, I think that's where they might fade a wee bit. But
That's
you
what
never
happened to
know what
Aberdeen.
they can do in the market. Yeah, but I
Hmm.
do think that I think I said at the start of the season that Hearts would finish third, and I firmly believe that'll be. But by the way, I wouldn't discount Hibs because depending on how their results go in Europe and whether they're in the Conference League, I think if they're in the Conference League, I don't expect them to finish top three. But if they're
Right.
not in the Conference League and they can do what Hearts do and focus on the league, I think they could definitely challenge for third.
Oh, aye.
I really believe that. So Rangers, are they in crisis, or is this just a typical West of Scotland? You've drawn twice, and this is terrible. It's the end of the
It's the
world.
usual. It's the usual West of Scotland stuff where you get him out. You know what I mean? In 2 games into the season, and he's done all right. I suppose he's done all right in Europe.
Exactly. I think,
He's not really
but
played
then Rangers
the
managers
best of
always do
stuff
all
in
right in
Europe.
Europe.
They always do.
But Neil
It doesn't
Lennon
matter who
said
the
something.
manager is.
Neil Lennon said something today, and he said it's just Scottish mentalness. You shouldn't be thinking about a manager out after 2 draws. At
No.
the end of the day, as I said, I think to you off camera, but I can repeat it here. Rangers are actually 2 points up on where they should be
Yep, he said
from
that
the
because
position in
they
the game that they
probably
found
didn't deserve
themselves.
the 2 points.
Because whether you think, I mean, the first week Rangers were 1-0 up, but they didn't turn up in the second half and were completely outplayed and easily could have lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're 1-0 down and a man down, even at home, Dundee United should have played the game better. They didn't. They tried not Dundee. Dundee were terrible, to be honest, in the last 20 minutes. They had an extra man, and at no point did it look like they had an extra man.
No, you're
Now,
right.
that might have been legginess
That
from a really good defensive performance in the first half.
looks
But
like they
use
had
your
10 men,
subs.
really, when you think about it.
But use your subs then. I mean, I don't think they used their subs very well, or they didn't seem to bring on any
No.
freshness, or
Mm-hmm.
try to make Rangers chase the ball. It just
No.
kept going back to Suter, and Rangers started an attack again. And eventually, let's be honest, we knew the goal was going to come.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, if Rangers had won it, I don't think you could have argued that it would have been Dundee's fault. It wouldn't have been quality of Rangers. It would have been Dundee not really pressing home an advantage that they could have. But no, I don't think it's certainly not title over. It's not. I don't think Rangers fans shouldn't be throwing their toys out of the pram. It's a new
No.
manager, a new system. He's not got the players that he wants, whether or not that's. I don't think you'll get that in one window, if I'm totally honest.
Every manager needs time.
And I think Rangers are going to need to get to grips. So the fans are going to need to just get some patience from somewhere. I understand when you've lost 13 out of 14 leagues, right, that you're going to turn around and say, oh, they don't have time for patience. But do you know what? If you've lost 13 out of 14 leagues, right, then you're not really a challenger. You're
Well,
one of
that's
the
the
best.
thing.
So what you need to do is build building blocks, get closer, then get in a position where you can actually challenge. We can't just go, let's rip it up, start again, let's challenge. You need to rip it up, start again, but get closer, get in a position to challenge. Because
This must be the only city in the world, though, where you don't get time as a
I
manager of
know,
Celtic or Rangers.
because let's be honest, regardless of whether you like Russell Martin's style or don't, and I've got mixed feelings. I do. I don't necessarily think some of his tactics work against the low block. I think it was just passing for passing's sake on Saturday, but I think his tactics will only work if the players buy into it and move the ball quickly.
Yeah.
Slow, ponderous crap like at the weekend will get you nowhere, but, well, it'll get Martin sacked eventually if they don't buy in.
If
But
it
they need
keeps
to
up,
buy
if
in
it keeps up.
because let's be honest, Rangers have a mentality problem. I don't care what anyone says. They've became second best because they accept being second best.
Mm.
Now
They
teams
should beat Alloa though in the cup. I mean, I would imagine so.
should they? Alloa beat Dundee.
Well, I know, and Queen's Park beat Rangers last season. Fair enough, but
Alloa beat Dundee in July in the League
oh,
Cup.
did they? And the league group
Alloa,
stage, did they?
Alloa through at the expense of Dundee, and Dundee
Yeah.
came to Ibrox for a plan. So I don't see why
Aye.
Alloa wouldn't. But
Well.
and Rangers are yet to win after a
Mm-hmm.
European game. So oh god, but no, I don't think it's over. But I do think the time needs to be given. Martin also needs to put it this way, right? I know this is going to sound really bad, but like, I don't think Rangers squad shouldn't be drawing with Dundee and Motherwell
No,
based on
no,
the
that's
players
right.
that they have. And what I worry is
No disrespect to the
Martin
Motherwell
getting
and
the
Dundee,
best out
obviously.
of that? But is Russell Martin getting the best out of that squad? And you'd have to say no so far. But that's not to say that he isn't trying to build something. And if they do buy into it and they do click, that they could.
But he's dropped. Who's he dropped? The four players. Who's it? He dropped
Raskin came out this
Tavernier,
season.
Raskin. Right. So he dropped say four players. But
And
then at the weekend there, he's brought them all on to get them out of hole. So why not
yeah.
just start them? Why not start the players?
From what I can see though, is right. Now some of the changes needed doing, right? But let's be honest, all that Rangers really needed doing was to get wingers and actually play them and play to their strengths.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Aarons as a massive upgrade on Tavernier. If anything, I don't see it as an upgrade at all. And I certainly don't think Joe Rothwell's an upgrade on Nico Raskin in the six. Now I think Joe Rothwell's a great player.
I listened to the phone in the night. I seen the phone in the night.
Up the park. I think
there was
Rothwell's more of an 8.
There was what do you call it? There was a caller on the phone in the night, speaking about Aaron's, and he said that he thinks that the jersey is too big for him or something. It could be too
I
big.
hate that saying. A footballer
I know.
should play jersey.
I know.
But I don't know. I just think that I don't think Russell Martin's particularly playing to our strengths right now.
No.
Because, I mean, John Souttar's not a left-sided centre-back. Either play him right centre-back or don't play him. But we need a left-sided centre-back in, so I understand why it's, you're putting him in there because he's the second best defender we've got at the club. But, no, I think I'm not going to judge Russell Martin until September or October, if I'm totally honest. Because I think we need to see after August at the end of the transfer window, give it a few weeks, see what players are playing. Do we see something? Because let's be honest, even Ange Postecoglou's first season, and I know some people say Rangers have not seen the signs that you've seen under Postecoglou, but Ange Postecoglou lost these first 3 away games, I think.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
They still recovered the title. Yes, partly in case of Rangers, Gerrard leaving and there was a wee bit of disruption there, and sometimes that happens, but also because that team bought into what Postecoglou were saying and they went on a great run. And that's what I was saying earlier, is once you get that kind of big win, and I remember when Celtic got that huge win in a nighttime game at Celtic Park against Rangers, it was like a runaway train after
3-0.
that. Because even though, well, in fact, it was a runaway train.
It was 3-0 going on 6 or 7 that night.
It was, and I don't really blame Van Bronckhorst for that one. It was just Celtic were in a place where their players knew exactly what the manager wanted for them, whereas Van Bronckhorst was just in the door and he was trying to install ideas and maybe try to go a wee bit different from Gerrard. And also, the fact is, we were on a great run in Europe at that time, and maybe that also had a bearing on Van Bronckhorst. Seemed to have a style for Europe, but not for domestic. Which,
aye, they got them to a European final, didn't they? And then they obviously sacked him the following season.
Oh no, but Rangers just can't keep doing that. We can't keep going rinse, repeat,
and repeat,
do the same thing. And I mean, I don't. As I said, I'm going to judge it in September, October, and as a Rangers fan, I need to see more though, because they just half-ass it, don't they? The players just don't look bothered unless they're down and out, and it's almost like that.
Did they get?
Try, but you should
did they
try
get
from
a? Did they get a bigger
because,
bonus for beating Celtic or playing against Celtic? There's the day for everybody else.
well, We must get some European bonus because we're just
Well, they're always kind of good in Europe, aren't they?
But on to Europe, how do you see the three teams this week doing? Do you think?
Well,
I think Rangers will finish the job.
Rangers are going to win because they're 3-0 up there. No,
I don't think they'll win in.
No, but they'll get through.
But I think
they'll get through.
Either a draw or a goal defeat. You know, I remember when we went to Red Star Belgrade, I think, in the Europa League run, we'd won a home leg 3-1, 3-0, and then went over there and lost 2-1, but it never felt like it was going to get away from us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even, I think they scored their second goal in the last minute. To be honest, it was one of those games that we're always in control, and I do think Rangers might need a goal just to settle them over there.
They probably will score a goal, I think. I think they'll score a goal. They might not win, but...
Yeah, I think I could see it being 2-1 Pilsen or one each.
Think so?
Yeah, but it's about getting through, isn't it?
That's all it matters, I suppose, at the end of the day.
And then you've got... Obviously, you won 2-0 in Belgrade. I think, again, it's a good enough lead to take back to Easter Road. I think there'll be some nervous moments, especially if
there will be.
Partizan score. I think...
If they score early, Partizan, or if they get the first goal, then it could be a bit tricky. But,
I just think Hibs are good enough to score at home. Even against Midweek, they did score. And I think that'll be another one each, if I'm honest. I think they'll do enough to get through. And
the boy Bowie's a good goal scorer, and he looks good.
Ewan offers a bit of pace, and Boyle, they've actually got quite a good setup for Europe because they go the three at the back. And I think that's a good setup for Europe, I think, for a Scottish team, because defend first and then, spring all your fast players in the counter-attack. And if you've got a ball up, you can hold it up. It's great.
Aye.
Good focal point. But Dundee United, this is the one that I'm not sure about, but I want to be sure because I'm seeing some really good things from Dundee United going forward.
But Rapid Vienna are good. They're a good side.
Yeah, but they didn't look a good side last week.
They didn't, but I mean...
I think sometimes Scottish football...
I think they'll score at Tannadice. So that means Dundee United have got to score.
I think we get a wee bit over the top with who the name is, and I think we did it as Rangers fans did it with Panathinaikos. Yeah, they're a great Greek name, but they weren't a great Greek side. And then people were dismissing Pilsen, and who's to say they're not better just because you don't know much about them? They weren't on the night, but
no,
I just don't think. And I think Mitchell and everyone had Hibs out. I know they did go out, but everyone had them getting pumped. But they
didn't get pumped,
and they were unlucky not to go to penalties. And I don't know. I think again, you're right. An early goal is key, and I think for Dundee United, it's about staying in the tie. Even if you're a goal down, don't be too disheartened because an equaliser takes you extra time.
That's right. And as long, even if it is 1-0 to Rapid Vienna, as long as they can keep it at 1-0 for long periods in the game, then they might get a chance at some point.
I'm going to be really bold, and I'm going to say 2-1 to Dundee United, and I think they'll get through, and that would set up games which I think could be great. I think you would have. I'll name all five now because I do think it will be Celtic against. I think it will be Kairat Almaty.
No, I don't. I think Slovan Bratislava will beat them.
Yeah, I just fancy that team. Maybe it's hope and expectation.
You're wanting it so that we're travelling back for there because we're playing you at Ibrox. That's the reason you want it.
I think it'll be Rangers Bruges. I think Bruges winning 1-0 in Salzburg. They should see that out in Belgium.
Right.
I think Aberdeen Steaua Bucharest is probably likely to be the game. I think it's likely to be Hibs against Legia Warsaw. And I think it's likely to be Dundee United if they get through against AIK of Sweden. And I have to say, looking at all those five games, I think Celtic beat Slovan or Kairat Almaty if they're at their best.
Yep.
I think Rangers Bruges is a real 50-50 tie. If it was a Scottish Premiership tie, it certainly wouldn't be, but it's a European night, so
that's it.
All aboard, Rangers playing well. I think Hibs against Legia Warsaw, you would say on paper, but they got absolutely smashed off AIK Larnaca.
I heard that, yep. I heard that.
So I don't know. I think, again, this could be a case of us thinking, big name. But I think Hibs could do it. And I think Dundee United against AIK, they're a decent Swedish side, but they're not Malmo. It's not like, they're not the top, team from Sweden. And There's a reason they're in the Conference League. The reason they're in the Conference League is because they probably finished third or fourth in the league. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but how great would it be to have,
A couple of teams other than Celtic and Rangers in Europe?
In European league phase. And
it would be great for Scottish football. It would be great for the coefficient.
Having all three of Aberdeen, Dundee United and Hibs in the Conference League would be amazing. Because I think they could all compete and pick up. I mean, sometimes you get one team in there, you're relying on them doing like 2 or 3 wins, but between those 3 teams, they could get 3 or 4 wins.
They could.
And that could really boost the coefficient.
Aye. That's what we're wanting, the coefficient. We're not wanting to be qualifying all the time for tournaments. We want the coefficient up.
But anyone could struggle depending on the draw, but I think Rangers would be quite good in the Europa League. I think they'd be actually one of the favourites.
Well, they always are. But if they get into the Champions League, then
it's about the draw, isn't it?
They'll probably get hammered in the Champions League, wouldn't they? Because they won't be ready for it.
Not if, Dundee players are running away from you. Can you imagine what Salah would do and all the rest? But no, I think I'm quite excited for the European games, and just wish I could get excited for Rangers games in general, because it's very difficult at the minute because it's just so up and down. It's
slow and lethargic.
It is. I mean, but I remember Celtic fans saying something very similar about Brendan Rodgers at the start of last season. It was very slow and methodical and going nowhere, but eventually it does go somewhere. And if the players can start...
But we still do the side-to-side passing and the backwards passing, which I don't like. Yeah. But
all it takes is just players being brave. Like, see if you've got a player like that's willing to just try and break the lines or just run. Like, I think defenders sometimes, they're too busy looking for the next pass. Drive with the ball. Drive into midfield. And you scare the living daylights out of midfielders because they don't like it. And they backpedal, and then that might leave space for a better player to actually create chances. Because I've seen a lot of criticism of Danilo and Dessers this season, but I can't criticise any of them. Because I think in the how many European games? 1, 2, 3 European games, 2 league games, 5 games, right? I think we've created about 6 chances.
Yeah.
Well, which I don't think you can criticise any striker.
No. But you get, I suppose I criticise Eder a lot because I just think
he gets chances. He got 6 chances against St Mum.
Aye, I know. And he didn't put the ball away. And I just think yesterday was non-existent as well. But as we close out the pod, I just wanted to say, what did you think of the Jock Brown and Archie McPherson, Boogie Donnelly and that back on Sports Scene? What did you make it?
Yeah, I thought it was quite refreshing to hear some old voices. Yeah.
I still think they're better commentators than the current ones we've got, to be honest
with you.
Better
than Liam McLeod, I'll tell you that.
Oh, aye.
But not going to badmouth anyone, but I'm a bit more old school. But I think what I was saying to you was that obviously Friday, I thought, well, this week we're going to do a wee League Cup preview because we'll do it
on a Thursday.
Yep, and we'll get that one out. And I think next week we might change it up on the Monday. We'll do a quick review of the League Cup. We'll talk about any shocks, any dodgy decisions and whatnot, and then maybe do a wee transfer update, just because that's exactly 2 weeks before the window closes.
Right.
So I think it would be quite nice just to see who needs what, because it's hard to tell who needs what until you start seeing these teams, and until you start seeing, what competitions you might be in, and where you're at. And I think it'll be a good point with 2 weeks to go to say, right, well, even not what you're going to get, but what did you need? Like, if you can get one position, what do you need? And we can go through the 12 teams and sort of say what you think they need. Because I think I already touched on it earlier. St Mum and Mother will need a striker.
Oh, aye. Celtic need a striker, need a winger. So, yeah.
And I think Aberdeen, I think they're getting a striker for AC Milan, I think. So Yengi needs somebody, because he doesn't look like he can...
he looks murder.
He does look like a guy that will score goals against, he might pop them in against Livingston and Dundee and that. Do you know what I mean? When they've got more of the ball. He looks like a penalty box striker. Doesn't look like he's any use outside the box. But he's got a few goals for Portsmouth, so I don't think we can criticise him too much. That's a decent standard. But I think that's definitely a plan for the end of the week and into next week. And
then definitely.
See where we're at.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Right, well, I'll speak to you later in the week then.
Right, okay, cool. Right, cheers.
Yes, thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.